kick it off, Ben, why don't you kind of get us started in like kind of the art?
Sure. Okay, so we're starting off, as I said, in the same location as last week. So we're in Glen Rannoch, which is a combination of those two Scottish locations that I mentioned last week. And as you can see, this is the north of the map, so we've got some real heavy, dense snowfall going on here. And that's something that is specific to different areas of the map. So the more elevation you get in the world, you'll get thicker snow. As you get a bit more south, you'll get like less snow, but maybe more frost, more wet roads, that kind of thing. So there's everything makes sense in terms of where the snow will be in the world.
It does look beautiful as well. I think that's one of the biggest things, is like all the little details. Because I want to kind of get into the water, because I know one of the biggest features is that the lake itself is frozen over. And I know there's been a lot of questions of people going, is all the water in the game going to be frozen, or is it just going to be the lake? How's it going to play out?
Not at all. I think you'll see tonight. It's kind of a mix, and like Ben says, it's all about really the altitude of the particular area of the world, which determines whether the water is frozen or not. But also, I think that really helps gameplay, because it's super fun to go drifting out on a frozen lake. But we also still want to have gameplay where you can splash through lakes, splash through rivers as well. And you really get all of that in the winter season. And I think eagle-eyed viewers will recognise this, as Ben said, from last week. We're at the sort of Glenfinnan Viaduct. This is, I think we're right up at the top of this mountain that we're kind of at the foot of.
Racing
right
that
now.
giant hovercraft.
With the hovercraft and the other stuff. But it's just the perfect place to show how completely the world changes, from season to season, and particularly autumn to winter. Last week we had all those really sort of striking reds and oranges and browns, and now the world is carpeted in white. And like, this is what I'm talking about. I think this completely different, really sort of stark aesthetic is just it's stunning to drive in. It's stunning to look at. And it's why this is totally my favourite season.
Yeah, I also think just one thing to touch on just before we kind of go into it even more is, guys, do remember this is a developer version of the game, so there could be bugs, there could be crashes, as we found out last week. Like, hopefully,
It has happened.
Has happened a couple of times, but we'll just kind of be taking a look at everything. So Ben, I know, right, you're going to hate me for asking this question again. It's my normal thing, because one of the things, like, looking through the world, okay, is one of the biggest changes from season to season that you can really see is the trees and how they've changed.
Yeah.
Right, so how's that working in the winter season?
So as you can see, they've lost all their leaves. That's the thing that happens in winter.
After you worked so hard on the leaves.
After we spent so much time getting the leaves looking just right, we strip them all off in winter. It's obviously a very different look. Again, it sort of plays into what Ralph was saying. And also, I think, we've heard quite a few people saying, what did you learn from the development on Blizzard Mountain? And, is winter just like the experience we had in Blizzard Mountain? It's totally not, right? It's a brand new visual as well, I would say, in that, obviously, Australia has all those gum trees that keep their leaves all the time, they never drop them. So actually, there was something really satisfying for the art team this time to produce this kind of skeletal horizon that you get with all the trees losing their leaves in winter. It's a look we've never had in a Horizon game before, which is...
And I kind of naively at the start of this project, I thought that winter trees would be the easiest, because you didn't have to do leaves.
Oh yeah,
Turns
As
out,
did I.
turns out, not the case at all. Actually,
No.
performance-wise, much more difficult.
That's true. Yeah, that was a surprise to everybody on the art team. But yes, it turns out the winter trees, they're even more difficult to do.
They're a lot more difficult too. Get all that snow on there, right? There's one thing, because there is so much snow, right, in winter, as we've seen. Is there going to be parts of the world that aren't covered in snow, or is it just kind of...
Totally, yeah. And I think that's a really important thing for us in not just winter and all the seasons, is making sure that you can do all of the things you want to do in a Horizon game in that season.
Yeah.
And that's true of all the seasons. It was probably most challenging to make sure it was true in winter. Because obviously snow makes things harder, right?
Yeah.
Frost, ice makes it more difficult to drive. What we really didn't want to happen was that winter be this big difficulty spike within the game. So we've done a bunch of things to try and avoid that. But one of them is to make sure that there are still, as Andy just destroys a child snowman, like callously. one of the things is to make sure that there are loads of roads in the world which actually aren't covered in snow that you can still take a hypercar out on and not have a terrible accident. So yeah, you've got that total range of gameplay, which means I think as you saw there, we were just driving on the frozen Derwent water. There's probably a greater range of gameplay available in winter than almost there is in any other season.
Yeah, so but it still suits all those different driving styles that you want to kind of get involved in.
Exactly.
There's a few questions from the chat as well. Motorized RC has just asked, how do seasons change?
So that's a good question. The seasons change weekly for everyone. So it depends on whether you're in the game at the time the season changes or not, how you'll experience it. If you are, and it's entirely possible that I think most people won't be playing the game at exactly the moment the season changes, because it will change at the same time for absolutely everyone, regardless of time zone. But if you are, then the game will start counting down. It'll be really clear saying that the season's going to change in 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute. And then when it does, as long as you're not doing anything, which is to say you're not in the middle of an event, for example, we'll take you out of that. We'll show you a season transition cinematic, and when the game fades back up, 20 seconds or so later, you will